My people, if you haven't yet, get you a passport and travel the world. I'd say get your passport stamp, but increasingly countries are moving away from physical passport stamps to digital passport stamps. We talk about passports, our first trips, and what global travel means for how we learn about the world. Next up on Mama We Made It with DJ and Reg. Yo, good morning. What's happening, man?
Get ready, Reg. What's going on? How are you, sir? It was great seeing you last weekend, man.
You know, I'm disappointed. Likewise, but I'm disappointed.
We didn't get to chop it up.
We didn't get to chop it
I
up.
knew.
We didn't get to chop it up.
Man, it's crazy when you know your brother like that, man. I knew what you were gonna say because I was gonna say the same thing to you.
Like other than dinner,
I know.
We didn't really
I
get
know
to chop
we
it
did.
up.
We did, and it's a shame because we can't miss those opportunities. What I will tell you though is, now that this rental property has finally sold, brother, I'm be a little more mobile. So I just need to get up there. We need to maybe get to LA or something.
I'm going down there soon.
Okay, let me know.
To check on the boy child and check out some other things. So yeah, well, be clear. I did tell you why I was going down there and invited you. You won't be available.
That time I will not. I will be
available.
at a speaking engagement, but I do appreciate the invite.
So I'll send you pictures.
All right, fair enough.
A lot to talk about today. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Mama We Made It with DJ and Reg. That's DJ. I'm Reg. How you living, man? How you living? You know, not to put you on blast, but you recently had a birthday. How you feeling?
Brother, I feel great.
Okay.
I feel blessed, man. I really, really do. Yeah, anytime I see September 16th coming around the corner, I feel blessed. This one was, I'll say, a bit extra special. Got a chance to, hang with my people, spend some time with my mom. And that's always great, man. So it was wonderful, and I appreciate you asking.
Dig it. I know you were traveling, and we talked about this a little bit briefly. Recently, there was an announcement that 29 countries are joining the trend of eliminating physical passport stamps.
Yeah.
In favor of some version of a digital passport stamp, leading down the road to using biometrics and facial recognition software to determine that your passport is valid. You'll still need the passport, but increasingly you won't get a passport stamp, and that hurt my heart. It really did, because I am that nerd dude that gets a new book when it gets filled up. I need my passport stamp. But it got me to thinking, man, do you remember getting your first passport and your very first passport stamp?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I will share. You know what I'm going to do? I will share my first one, I think, was a business trip. And I think it was London. And it was a bit of a whirlwind, my first time in that part of the world. And it was business. I had a big presentation. I would like to spend a little time on my second one, which really felt like my first stamp. And quick story, it's a bit of a love story. So if you have some Kleenex, man, you might want to pull it out. So, look, man, quickly, I'm on a subway train in New York City, exactly. And I see this beautiful woman going by me on the subway track.
Okay.
And she's walking. I'm on the train, getting ready to take off. Man, I get off the train before the doors close. And I meet her at her destination. And I'm talking. I find out she speaks zero English. She's Russian. So I'm on the train with her now. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I'm going where she's going. We end up in Queens and Astoria, I believe it was. We are now using a translator. For the next 3 months, we probably spent 90% of our days together. translators, dinners, trying to figure it out. She ends up going back to Russia. We had to decide, Purse, how are we going to see each other? Brother not really trying to go to Russia. She can't just jump back to the U.S. So we had to take a spin of the wheel on these cities, primarily in Europe, that we could spend time in and actually see each other and cultivate the relationship.
Sure.
The beauty of it is years later, she ended up becoming my wife. But
oh,
yeah,
okay,
man,
okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So backing up again, the first city we chose, we just kind of spun it, and it was Stockholm, Sweden. Didn't know what to expect, didn't know much, knew it was a design center, knew they had a bit of a music ethos going on there. Man, we had the time of our lives. Stumbled upon a house music festival, introduced to about 4 new black house music artists that I would have never known from here, and had the time of my life, 22 hours a day, like it was during the summer. So for me, man, Stockholm, Sweden, I ended up going back again on my own because I liked the vibe in Stockholm. But it was incredible, man. It was cool, flowy, river ran through the city. If you wanted to party, you could do that. If you wanted to chill, you could do that. But it was both of us saying, too, you know what, we're serious about this. And we're going to see what's up.
Did y'all fall in love there, or was it already love when you got there?
I'll say we knew we were in love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we fell in love prior to her going back, but that's when we knew. We both made this happen, and it wasn't easy. I got a job, she did as well, but we made it happen. So it cemented that notion that we were in love. And Stockholm is a vibe, dog. Stockholm is a vibe. It is chill. So that's my little first stamp / second stamp. And I wouldn't change a thing. Again, went back on my own just to kind of hang and make sure it was what I thought it was. It is. They treated me well. I would say more than some U.S. cities. Yeah, I would say that. So yeah, man, it was dope, deep, and everything. We spent probably 4 days there.
And you were a grown man. You weren't a young man. Like this is
I wasn't,
fairly
man.
contemporary story for you.
Yeah, fairly. Yeah, 30s. But I hadn't really explored much outside of the U.S. Like seriously. After that, it was a rampant exploration.
Okay.
Brazil, Germany, Italy, Morocco. List goes on and on.
We did Brazil together at least once.
We did, man. We did. London as well. London as well. Sure.
Yeah. Sure.
How about you, man? What did that first stamp look like?
Man, I am going to Portugal for a global business conference dealing with global glass suppliers back when I was in our supply chain days. And the conference, I'll never forget it, the conference was going to be in a city called Cascais, Portugal, which is the westernmost point on continental Europe. It's the far western tip of Portugal, of the Iberian Peninsula, I don't know, hour and a half maybe from Lisbon. Mm-hmm. And I am connecting to your point, or similar to your story, I'm connecting through Heathrow. And my first trip, I was excited about it all. And when I looked at my itinerary, I realized I had about a 7-hour layover in Heathrow. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try my best to, back when you could put your bags in a locker, I'm going to hop on the tube and I'm going to go downtown and I'm going to go to the Virgin music store and give me some music. I do it. It all works out. I'm on the train. I'll never forget. I get on the train. I'm sitting on the train. Little old white lady gets on the train. There's space next to me. There's 2 seats next to me, in fact, open. She looks at the seat. She looks at me and asks me if I'm going to move. I'm like, why would I move? There's plenty of space right here. She sits across from me and begins to berate me, saying, that's why nobody likes you people. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she just kept saying, that's why nobody likes you people.
Wow.
The whole ride down, she gets off. She doesn't go all the way to London. Nevertheless, that was my first introduction to being in Europe. But I continue on. I catch the Virgin Megastore, and I'm in there looking for music, and I meet a sales associate, young sister, young dread, right? Fully locked up. She's like, "No, what are you looking for? What are you interested in?" I was like, "I'm a little bit of, British soul, a little bit of reggae, but I'm open. You recommend what you think it should be." We spent probably the next 45 minutes walking around picking up music. I got a UK edition of a Loose Ends CD that
Oh
I
my
still
God.
have somewhere. I had a couple of reggae samplers that were phenomenal. And she says to me, "Hey, I'm about to have my lunch break. You want to go get a pint?" I was like, "Why not?" So we leave. We go around the corner to a little pub. We have a drink. She tells me all about what it's like to, be Rastafarian and her vibe and her ethos and living in, I forget what part of London she was in, maybe Brixton, I don't remember. But it was a phenomenal, phenomenal experience. And I had to get out of there before I risked it all, is what I'll say. So I, bound by getting back to the plane, I get back to the plane, go on to Lisbon or fly to Lisbon, but go on to Cascais. And I had the time of my life in this conference, and it felt like everything like I thought it would feel like in the movies, right? Like getting my passport stamped, the experience, this random story. I'm young, I'm early in my career, and it is really just world changing for me as I realize how much having a passport opens the world to you and opens
Yes.
a whole sense of
Yeah.
perspective and experience that I had never contemplated before. So it was phenomenal. So I valued that experience. So the notion that now I would just get a little digital signature in my file, nah, that ain't the story. So I'm a bit bummed that this transition is happening, but I will never forget that story. I'll never forget that sister, that dread. She was she was cool as hell. That's all I'll say.
Um, the other thing, man, it's obviously just the credentials themselves, but it's also now access to our information, right? I mean, when you start these QR codes, et cetera, and that sort of thing, man, a problem can emerge around your credentials just flying around in people's hands. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a concern for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
concern for me. I love having the hard stamp, but nah, man, I'm really not excited about that. And I took a look at the list of the countries, and um, they're somewhat desirable. Those that are kind of making the move. So,
Europe, Latin America. I think
uh-huh.
the African continent is taking, the African Union is taking that. Yeah, let's see how this goes. But it's coming for everybody. It's only a matter of time. And to your point about the information, I don't like none of the scan my eye, take
Mm-hmm.
my fingerprint, biometric scanning. I don't love none of that, man, because in more and more, the surveillance society is ubiquitous. You can't get away
Yep.
from a camera. You can't get away from somebody with personal glasses that are filming you. I had an experience, really, man, as I think about it, just recently. I am at the airport hanging with a friend of mine who is in town about to fly out. And so I meet him at the airport before his flight, and we get a drink at a little lounge on the before you get to security. Long story made short, it's late. He's catching a red eye. He and I are sitting far from the 4 or 5 other patrons in this spot. We're talking. Random dude comes from around the bar, walks up on us, and starts talking to us like we summoned him. He doesn't work there. He's another patron, and we had to get him out of there. And he didn't have glasses on. He didn't touch us. But to this moment, I don't have any idea what made him come over talking to us. And we're like, "Yo, dog, we're in a conversation." And he just walks away. It was really weird. So I don't love any of
Wow,
this,
man.
identity theft, any of this, look me in my eye. Like, for example, when you go to the airport now, do you let them take your picture?
I do. I do. Do you?
I opt out every time. Pisses them off, but I opt out every time. And until they make me, which is coming, I ain't gonna.
Yeah. Yeah, I figure I'm in now. And
Of
I know
course
it's
they know
probably
us.
not to, of course they know it. Of course they know it. And I'll be doing it again soon. And it's crazy how it becomes so normalized, though, isn't it, Purse? It's like we just do these things that at one point would have seemed really odd to us, or at least to me. But yeah, I do it. I
Drives
do
me
it.
crazy. And every time I opt out, there's someone in line like, "Hey, what you doing?" I'm like, "The sign clearly says it's optional. You don't have to do it." And TSA gets surly, and the people are like, "Huh?" But then they all go through it. And to your point, by the time I get to that camera, I've gone through 20 other cameras in the airport. They've already clocked me and seen me, and
They
they know
brother, they have.
they know more about me than I know about myself. I am
They,
sure.
they've clocked you outside the airport as you're entering arrivals or departures, man. It's crazy. Where you now literally see cameras.
It's ridiculous. But having said all that, when I think about what a passport is, and I think it's Malcolm that said a passport is like a key to education or some
Hmm.
version, or maybe education is a passport to the future. That's what he says. But I think about the reverse being true as well, which is passport is just a key to cultural understanding that you're never going to get from watching TV,
It is.
right? And so
It is.
I, I'm curious as you think about your global travels, what have you learned? Like, what are the lessons you've taken away from all the collection of places you've been outside of the country?
One of the biggest things I've learned, and it's probably now the social scientist in me, um, culture travels,
Sure.
perceptions travel. But when you are around the right people, regardless of where you are, common sense and logic can also travel.
Mm-hmm.
So I find I'm able to ask the right questions to find the right groups of folks
Mm-hmm.
that I want to help guide my experience once I get there.
Mm-hmm.
We can almost start to think things about ourselves, especially as Black Americans, because we deal with certain things every day, especially
Mm-hmm.
you in predominantly white, uber white Oregon. Same here in Arizona. It was amazing to me, and I'll just go back to that Stockholm, Sweden trip. They were curious for all the right reasons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Tell us about.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we've heard. And especially at that music festival, man, this was a black dude, I think from Brooklyn, who found his way to Sweden. And that brother was never going home. He was he was never going home. And they loved him. He was killing that music. Um, but one of the main things I found, man, is our ability to flourish regardless of where we are, is so contingent upon our self perception, man. And we cannot allow the outside world to dictate what that is for us, man. That's the biggest revelation for me, whether it was Stockholm, whether it was Italy, whether it was Berlin,
Mm-hmm.
that our self perception will dictate oftentimes how we're treated.
Sure.
How about you? Any revelations?
Similar. What I find is first and foremost when you get outside of the Western gaze, when you get outside of U.S. centric media, the storytelling is different,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the fact set is different. I don't think that racism and classism and imperialism is any less prevalent abroad, certainly in Europe and other places that I've been. But I do feel like, in general, the people that I've met are getting better information, clearer
Mm-hmm.
storytelling around a variety of things, mundane and, significant. I agree with you that it's fascinating, man, how many random interactions I've had with people from completely different cultures that
Yes.
have been really, really cool. Like for my 30th birthday, I went on a solo trip to Greece, and I stayed in Athens. I did a whole bunch of day trips, and I took my Bible with me, and I took Herodotus, the histories with me. So I had those two books, and I'm reading, about Greek history, and I'm walking around and traveling around and catching a lot of day trips via bus. And you would buy these day passes, you'd meet in this square, and you get on this bus with whoever got on the bus. And there was a young woman there from Latin America. I don't remember where she was from. Maybe Colombia, maybe Venezuela. I don't remember. She spoke Spanish. I spoke English. I speak enough Spanish from living in Puerto Rico to get by. and we found ourselves multiple times on the same tour. And every time I would see her, she would like we take a picture of me in front of this thing. And by the end, we ended up taking pictures with each other, not with each other, but of each other throughout this kind of experience. And it was just cool. We never spoke a word really because I can't speak
Wow.
Spanish like that, and she didn't speak any English. But it was a trust that she's like, all right, whatever it is, I trust this dude, and it was a vibe, and so I appreciated that. And I've had so many cool experiences around the world. My time in Uganda, like people are, to your point, curious about Americans, curious about Black Americans, but also heavily skeptical and like so trying to shake off the ugly American perception that precedes you is more than a notion. And once they hear you trying in their language, right? That you see them, they hear you stumbling through your broken Spanish or your attempt at French, or you walking around with your translation guide. They appreciate the effort, and so I think the biggest thing I've learned is the more you try to subsume who you are into the culture of where you are and just soak it up, the more receptive they are to
Yeah.
you. The more you
Yeah.
walk in there saying, "Hey, does anybody here speak English?" The more they're like, "Yeah, I ain't got no time for you, homie, and you're gonna wait for this croissant all day long." So I have found global travel to be really, really cool. I have not had a bad experience. I've been in Eastern Europe. I've been in parts of Asia. I've been across the continent a couple of places, and I've been through a lot of Western Europe and a fair amount of Latin America as well. And I've not had any bad experience, which is different than saying, "Have I had any abject racism?" I certainly have,
Of course.
but I've not had anything in a one-on-one interaction conversation space that I regret or that went sideways, and I appreciate that. And I'd like to think some of that is the vibes I put out there, but I'd also like to think that there is something in the American water that you have to be mindful of when you travel abroad, because if you carry that with you, it's going to be for you.
Percy, have you ever been enticed at all to consider living part time, full time in another country based on your travel?
Puerto Rico's not another country, but I lived there for a little less than a year early in my career, and I would have moved there
Okay.
in the '90s. I spent a summer in Kampala, Uganda, and they treated me like family there. It's unfortunate it was in the shadow of the Rwandan genocide, but I loved being in East Africa. I could have seen a world where if I could have talked my wife into it, I could see a world where we could have spent more time there. Those are the two that come to mind. Lisbon is fascinating to me.
Okay.
Morocco, Marrakesh in particular, is fascinating to
Yeah.
me. But I do have a homie who goes back and forth to Ghana a lot. And I could see a world where West Africa would be home, but it's just so far away, man.
Yep.
My kids are grown and out the house, and at some point in time, if I'm lucky, I'll be a grandparent. Can't envision being that far away from family with a permanent residence. So I have, but not in a serious analysis or deep dive. What about you?
Yeah, especially, Purse, to your point, when you live on the West Coast or the west side of the U.S., you've got that 6 hour journey to even get east.
Yeah, unless
Right?
you catch the jet stream and get lucky.
Yeah, right, exactly. So when I was in New York, waking up on a Wednesday and saying, you know, we got a long weekend, man. I think I'm going to London. 6 hours later, you're in London. Different proposition when you're on the West Coast.
Sure.
Cities for me, man,
It's
same.
nice to wake up and just say, I'm going to go to London for the weekend, though. Love it for you. I love it for you.
Don't even start. Don't even start. Don't even start. Yeah, don't even start. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone. I'm going to leave it alone. I have done that once. I was mesmerized by Marrakesh as well. Could I live there? I don't know. It was enough for me to say, man, there's something about this place that I'm really intrigued by. I like the flow in Stockholm. I like the flow in Berlin. Could I live there? If I just said, you know what, man, I'm going to try to 3 months, 4 months out of the year simply be a traveling DJ. Those are two cities I would try to put a tent down in and make it happen. They have an appreciation for those aspects of our culture. I could see that. But again, man, when you're West Coast, that proposition around back and forth gets a little bit tough. But those are three places that I'm a little. But I haven't been to Portugal, and I hear really good things about Portugal. Not a fan of Paris, France.
Same. I like south of France, Nice, Cannes, that area.
Okay.
Much more.
What about Rome?
Didn't love Rome.
Same here.
Didn't love Rome. Back in the day, I've been to Venice, Milan, Rome. I've not been to Florence or Tuscany. I want to do some of that. But Rome, other than the references to Bruce Lee riding the Fuji in a movie, Rome doesn't do it for me.
I got you, man. Well, look, all that said, man, travel, good people. Learn about yourself, man, through a lens that is not the United States of America, man. And it is an amazing, amazing experience.
1,000%. Last thing I'll add before we get out of here, find a way to hold on to the tangible, even though it is increasingly becoming digital. And I don't know how we do that, but I do think the tactile, sensorial, physical thing matters. So we'll still have a passport, but find other ways to document and hold on to tangible, physical manifestations of your experiences. Because I have a sense that it's going to matter, and digital memory just ain't going to be the same as physical memory.
Why did I do all that? This is an example, my brother. That's my yearbook, brother.
Say less.
Tangible memories. That is a physical yearbook.
Hold it closer to the camera. I see you got the page tab. Let's see your big head. Show us Daryl L. Jones.
That we won't do. You know what? I'm gonna try to find something real quick in here.
What you got? First of all, what was your high school mascot?
A bear cat.
Okay, all right. Legitimate, not offensive.
What was yours?
I went to Theodore Roosevelt High School. We were the Rough Riders, baby.
Okay.
Highly offensive, but we won't get into that history right now.
Yeah. First, I know we're running up on time, but I'm trying to find something for you. Okay.
So what you got?
I think it's coming.
They got this thing called an index. You can go right to the page if you want to.
Yeah.
Mine, I know you read a lot. Go closer to the camera. Close to the camera, man. Stop playing.
Can you see that?
No, man. The camera's still like 9 feet away from you.
Man, you bugging.
All right.
Okay, that's me right there. Just caught a pass.
Bro. I love it. I love it.
That's doing way too much.
That's doing way too much.
So, but I'm going to say this to your point. That matters because people shared way back then how they felt about you, man.
Yes.
And you can forget. People taking up 3 pages to share, hey, brother.
Yes.
I enjoyed the last 4 years.
Yes.
You're not going to get that off of a QR code. So anyway.
At all. Well, everybody, this is Mama We Made It with DJ and Reg. That's the physical manifestation of DJ. I may or may not be a bot, so I'll get my yearbook out later and we'll prove that I'm real. Thank you for joining us. Subscribe, check us out on YouTube, wherever you get your favorite podcast. We're here to talk about ways we get free and the ways that we want to flourish in and around the world with and without passport stamps. Peace.
Mama made it.